Welcome to the AirCon Vault. Here, you can find the recordings of the live streams from AirWiggle's audio conference. These are made free thanks to our sponsors: A Sound Effect, Aftertouch Audio, Room Library, Fmod, Game Audio Learning, Game Sound Con, Kilohertz, Rev Rooms, Sound Cuts, Strata from Audio Kinetic, and AirWiggles, the online home for audio people. We hope you enjoy the video.
Hi, I'm Juliana. Thank you so much for being here with me. It's like so exciting to talk to you and share a little bit of my story. Greg, I love that. These plants are like, you cannot kill them, so they're great. So thank you for joining me, and thank you, Luis, for arranging this and having me give a talk. When I share the presentation, I won't be able to look at the chat or see the Q&A. So if you have any questions at the end, I will answer them, and don't be shy to ask or say anything, okay? So yeah, let's get started. Let me share my screen. Okay, I think you can see my thing, right? Can you see it well? Can you give me a thumbs up if you're seeing it well? I'm actually checking the chat, so if you can let me know, then, oh yeah, I can see you can see it. Perfect. Okay, so hi for everyone joining. I'm Juliana. It's so nice to meet you. I'm from Colombia, and I currently live in LA. And yeah, I work in sound. I do film post-production. I do film, TV. I've done video games. I've done apps. I do all sorts of things. So I'm going to share a little bit of my journey today. So how did this dream begin? So actually, before I start my presentation, I want to ask you like a question and to have something in mind. Is the life you're currently living the life you want to have? Are you doing the things you want to do? Is anything holding you back? Is fear holding you back? What would you like to be doing currently that you are not doing? So how did my dream begin, and how did I end up here? So as I imagine a lot of you here, I come from a musical background. Ever since I was like 3 years old, I was doing music. I was in a musical academy. I was doing piano lessons, guitar lessons, singing lessons. I was in a choir. Music was my whole life and was everything I did. I am a singer. Back in the day, like my dream was to be a singer, and I was working towards that. So when I finished high school and I went to college, I decided to study music and music production to have like more tools for when I did my albums and stuff. I knew like more, and I could do my products and like do a better product. So I was in Colombia, and I was having my singing career. I was doing my album, and I was releasing it and doing things. And then I was also teaching. And I was teaching at like schools, like from ages 4 till 18, and also at a musical theater academy. And I love it. But my dream was to be a singer. So like my teaching supported my music singing career. So I was doing all of this, and while I was recording my first album, when I was going to release it, I thought like, oh, I'm gonna be famous and like ready, that's it. And then like I started doing it, and I realized like, oh, this may not happen. I may have to like do something else. So I was working on it. I was chasing my dreams, because what I told myself was like, I'm gonna try. And no matter what, I'm going to try. And then if it doesn't happen, at least I tried. So I was doing it, and I was doing well. And I was teaching. But then because of teaching and like working so much and singing so much and speaking loud, I heard my voice. And so I kind of like quit my job, because singing was my priority and I couldn't keep like singing if I was teaching and hurting myself. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, what do I do with my life? Because yeah, like my main thing that was teaching, I couldn't do it, and I was doing my music and it was going well, but maybe not at the pace I thought it would be, that I was just gonna be living of music right away. And so like in 2015 I went into a trip because I quit my job, and like I was a little frustrated with life, and I was thinking like, okay, what do I do now? When I was in college, I wanted to go to Berklee College of Music, but I didn't because I was doing my album, releasing my album, and all of that. And so when I was in this trip, I realized there were things that I wanted to do that I haven't done and that I wanted to try. And I realized I wanted to leave my country and live somewhere else, even if it was just for a year, to have the experience. So I started thinking of that and thinking what I could do and thinking of moving into Canada because like migrating there is super easy. And then when I came back of that trip and I was thinking what to do, I got a job offer to teach. And I have said, I'm not going to teach because I don't want to hurt my voice. But this was a really cool program that it was a fine arts program for high school students, and it was for music production, which is what I studied back in college. And it was like a great opportunity. And the person who was leaving like really soon. He was moving to Australia to study post-production sound. So one day they called me at 7 a.m. and they were like, hey, you got the job. Do you still want it? And I was like, yes. And they were like, okay, come over. So I went there, and the guy that I was replacing started explaining me the job. So he started telling me like, yeah, you'll do the music ensembles and like you'll record, produce, etc. But then he starts telling me like, and you have to teach Foley and ADR. And I was like, what's that? I had no idea what that was, or like that this whole world existed. I thought like they would just shoot and then I don't know, the film was ready after they edited and the sound was like from the shooting. But he was leaving the next day and I had to like start the next day and start teaching. So I was like freaking out, and I called a friend who studied something similar to me but in other place, and she knew a little more and she like explained me. And then I went to the school of YouTube to start seeing like, okay, Foley ADR sound design. And I discovered this world that I had no idea existed. And I was like, first super surprised, like, oh my God, all these things get done. Like, this is amazing. And it also like clicked with me because I'm such a film lover. Like, I would watch every movie, like all the movies nominated for the Academy Awards, all the TV shows. Like, I really had a passion for it. And I realized, like, this makes sense. So I went to YouTube and I started seeing all these videos of Ben Bird and how he did Star Wars. And I fell in love. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And as I told you, I was already thinking I wanted to leave the country and I wanted to do something and have like a different experience. I was realizing that maybe the singing was not gonna like make me like I wasn't gonna be able to make a living out of it. So I had like all these ideas in my brain for like 2 years. And I was talking with an agency to move to Canada, and they told me like, we recommend people to study something so they build a network, because if you don't study and like you move, it's gonna be really hard. So I was thinking what to study, and then I discovered this world and I fell in love, and I realized like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to work in movies, I want to work in this world, I want to do this. Unfortunately, back then in my country, the film industry wasn't very big and it wouldn't pay very well. So I was like, well, this is great. I'm gonna go and study this. But it was a little bit like out of the blue because I didn't have like a plan. So I started looking at schools, at programs, and I found the one I went to, which is Savannah College of Art and Design. And I saw the program and I really like it because a lot of the other programs were film scoring, and I already studied music, so I didn't want to do more music or theater. So this program in Savannah was focused on post, on video games, on film and TV. So it was great. And I started to see like, okay, well, maybe this is it. And so I applied to Savannah, and kind of like with this talk that I applied, like I submit to give a talk, and I was like, well, if they say yes, I'll do it. With Savannah was the same. I was like, I'm gonna apply. If I get it, great. If not, whatever. But then also there was the financial part of it. Like I couldn't afford it. It was really expensive. So I started looking into options, and I found like a scholarship loan of my government that they would give you some money for 2 years. And then if you go back, they forgive a part of it. And if you stay in the wherever you are, if you don't come back, you have to pay for it. So I applied to that too. And I was like, you know what? If I get it, I'll leave. And if I don't, whatever. So I had this mentality of like, what's there to lose? And I applied to SCAD. I got accepted. They gave me a little scholarship, and I applied to the scholarship of my government, and I got it too. And like out of nowhere, I was like, okay, everyone, I'm leaving. I leave in 4 months. And as an immigrant, if some of you have left your country, like there's a lot of things you don't know are gonna happen or we don't talk about. Leaving everything behind was like really hard. Like I loved my life in Colombia. There's like that picture of me with my family. We would gather every Sunday, and that was like my farewell party. So even though I really wanted to have another experience and move to another country, it was really hard because I've never done it and I didn't know what's going to happen. And I love my family. And like, I was really scared of leaving everything behind. And also, like, my dad was just getting out of a very bad cancer. He almost died. And I was like really scared. I was like thinking I would never see him again. But I had this dream. I wanted to work in like the film industry. I wanted to leave my country. I want to have a big career. So yeah, I decided to go with it and move to Savannah. So while I was moving to Savannah, I started talking to people, and this is something that is like really big, and I really want to mark in this conversation we're having today. Networking and talking to people is really, really important for everything we do. So when I was planning on moving, I talked with two people who gave me like really good advice. One was a girl who went to my college and she moved to the States too. And she told me that in our industry, it's really hard to get sponsorship. So we have to like freelance. And she told me, you're going to have to apply to an O1 visa. So you have to work really, really hard from the beginning to get a lot of credits so you can get that visa, which is like the extraordinary talent. And then I talked with this other guy who also went to SCAD and moved from Colombia. And he told me, I recommend you to do the MFA program that is 2 years so you can buy time. Because even though I moved, like, we'll see what happens, I want to have the experience, like, I really wanted to stay here and like work in this industry. So I moved to the United States, like with this in mind, knowing like I have to work in as many things as I can, as soon as I can, and I have to buy time. Like time was what was more precious for me in order to like succeed and stay here. So I moved to Savannah. That's like, there's two pictures there. One is like one of my first days at SCAD. And then another one was like my first shoot. So like the first week I got to Savannah, I had money for 1 year and my program was 2. So I knew I had to get credits, but I also needed to get a job in order to stay the second year and like support it. So my first week, I was like, I got a meeting with the chair of sound and I was like, okay, what can I do? Which projects can I get onto? And yeah, what can I do to make the most of my time? And I was also applying to all the jobs I could find. On my visa, the F1, I could work part-time with my school. I couldn't do anything else outside. So I started like looking and like, you know, I moved here like knowing like, okay, these are the things that have to happen and this is how I'm gonna make it happen. So I started working at SCAD, and it was like a great experience. In my college, they have like this model of collaborating. So you work on different projects and you help each other, and we all worked for free. So I started doing all of this and meeting like a lot of people and getting a lot of skills, and like doing like location sound or editing sound, plus doing my classes and my assignments. So I was building all these skill sets and seeing how to get better. And then it was a 2-year program. And because it was 2-year program, I have to do a thesis. So I had on my first year, I had a class where we had to start thinking of this. And before that, in one of the classes, they gave us an assignment about people who we admired. As I told you, I come from the music like background, and I was a singer in Colombia doing pop. And in Colombia, this is a male dominant world. And when I was doing it, people were like, get out of it. You won't be able to succeed if you don't do reggaeton. And like, tell me 10 women who are like successful. So being in Colombia and looking at the United States and looking at the pop industry, I saw a lot of women. So I thought it would be different. But then in post, I thought like, oh, there's going to be a lot of people. And when we got this assignment and I started looking at all the movies I loved, I saw it was just guys. And I was like, where are the women? Where are the Latinos? Like, where are the people like me? And so I started researching, and I started getting like really interested in this topic. And then, as I said, I had to do a thesis to like graduate. So then when we were finishing this first year, the last quarter, we had to do a presentation about people who inspired us. So I again was like putting all the women there, like all the women that have done things. And in this class, my like thesis advisor was like, you're very interested about this. Like, why don't you make a podcast or a documentary about women in sound? And again, I was like, what? I've never done that. Like, how am I gonna do this? Like, I don't know. But like the idea stick on me, and I was like, well, why not? Let's give it a try. So I started thinking of like, okay, what are the things that need to happen? And it's funny how like life connects and like the things eventually like work out, because this was just my thesis, right? I was thinking of what to do for my thesis so I could graduate. But then this film like opened so many doors for me. So I was working at the museum of my university, and I was like, okay, let's make this happen. And I started researching online. Thank God for IMDb, like all the women and credit. And I started making like a spreadsheet with all their information and projects they had worked on and looking for names. And then I started finding them on LinkedIn and reaching out. So like networking is so important in this world and in what we do. And I wouldn't be where I am without it. Like this is what has got me to where I am. So I had this thesis, and me, a girl from Colombia studying in Savannah, started reaching out to all these women like, hi, I'm doing this project for my thesis. Would you like to be part of it? And all these people started saying yes. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. But then I'm not a filmmaker. How am I gonna do this? So I guess I like challenges. And I was like, well, let's try, let's plan for it. So I started like reaching out to some of my film friends and seeing if they would help me. And then I asked one of them, Ashwin, who is my co-director in this film, if he could help me. And I was planning to do it in winter because this was May. And like, I don't know how to make a film. I need to learn, plan, and make it happen, right? And he told me like, I can, but in summer, which was like, he was like, I can do it in August. And I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And then at the same time, I was reaching out to a lot of women, and they all started saying yes. And summer here is usually kind of slow. So they all started telling me like, I can do it in summer. I can do it in summer. So out of nowhere, what started as a presentation for my thesis of women that I admired became into like, oh, I'm gonna make a documentary about it. So I started planning and arranging for it. I was going back to Colombia in the summer to see my family, and then I would come back. And so I did a crowdfunding where I raised almost $3,500 in order to travel to California and pay for the expenses and do all the interviews. And then my university borrowed me the equipment. And again, like this system of like trading work, like really helped, because like my friend Ashwin was just helping me to help me, because it was credits for him, credits for me, and we were doing this. So I reached out to a lot of women. Some of them answered, some didn't, and then some of them helped me connect with another ones. And it was amazing. And then I was able to arrange 16 interviews. I did 3 interviews in the Bay Area in Skywalker Sound. And I think I mentioned earlier, I saw videos of Ben Bird teaching how he did sound, how he did the sound of Star Wars. And like, that's how I fell in love with this world. He's the reason like why I decided to do this. So when I went to Skywalker, it was like a dream. It was like my dream. I was there talking to these people, and it was amazing. Like I couldn't believe what was happening. Yeah, it was great. And then so we went to Los Angeles, and something that was really helpful for me was that one of my friends, Carson, who's there on the picture on the right bottom, he helped us with sound. He's actually in game audio and he's great. Carson Lewis, if you don't know him, he's like a badass. So he helped me with sound in LA, because I was like directing, producing, conducting interviews, doing sound. And in LA, he helped me, and his family was here. So they host us, and that's also why we were able to like make it all work. So many things happened that allow me to do this, like this project, and I got help from so many people. So we went first to the Bay Area, then we went to LA, and I went to like Warner Bros, Paramount, Avid. Like I went to all these places, and I was like, wow, like amazing. And I interviewed like people like Paula Fairfield, who's the sound designer of Game of Thrones. She's like so good. Anna Belmer, who's a re-recording mixer. Like I was able to talk to so many amazing women. And then again, like the universe like favored me, and there was a hurricane in Savannah and we couldn't go back. So I was able to stay longer in LA and do more interviews. So at the end of like August and of like the shoot, I had 16 interviews and I had 25 hours of material that I had to turn into like a short doc. So I went back to Savannah and I started working on it and like editing it for my thesis. And that was it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this film, and that's it. And then all the time while we were studying, they would always tell us like, it's LA or New York. You have to move to LA or New York. I had been in LA in 2017. I went back for this. I honestly didn't love it. This city is crazy. I was just talking with Luis about it, how it's like, it's hard and it's very big and the public transportation is hard. But I didn't love winters. I didn't want to move to New York. So I was like, okay, it is LA. So I went back and I was working on this. I was supposed to graduate in May of 2020. So I was doing all my work, and I also built a team of people to help me with the film. Like I had animators, I have the editor, I have a sound team, and we were working on it, and I was supposed to be done in May. And then COVID happened. So like all my plan like kind of changed. When you're in a student visa here, when you finish, you get a work permit for 1 year, which is what my friend have told me. Like you have to do all the things you can, get all the credits and work, right? So I was doing that. And then all of a sudden, my college closed, everything closed. I couldn't work. I couldn't access the studios. And like, I didn't even have like a computer with Pro Tools because I couldn't afford it. So I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? Like, how am I going to stay here paying rent if I don't have work? So I can't afford it. And then I cannot go to the studios and do the work. So it was like really challenging and like scary, but life is like that. It throws you things and you like have to keep going. So I eventually decided to go back to Colombia, and I was like, I'll go back for a month or two, and then I will come back. And we all know what happened. COVID happened. And then I was stuck in Colombia for like 6 months. And I was supposed to finish in May, but which would have been really bad because I get the 1 year permit and everything was closed. So I was able to push a class and then graduate in November, which honestly like saved me because I don't know what would have happened if I had to like, well, I wouldn't have been able to come back to the States. So I was lucky enough that I was able to push something, but I kept working on my documentary. And then during COVID, something like really nice happened. There was a lot of Zoom meetings going on, and I joined this Foley artist group on Facebook, and they started doing Zoom meetings every week, and they would bring guests. So I started meeting like online, a lot of film people, and making contacts. And again, as I said, it's so important to make contacts and build relationships. So I was spending my time like studying, working on my film, and attending all these events to get to know people. Just because I wanted to learn from them. But now in retrospective, also I'm like, yeah, that helped me like get opportunities. So I finished my film and I presented it as my thesis, and it was like a 21-minute documentary. But then I was able to work with a producer, and we made it a little bit shorter, and we finesse it, and then we submit to festivals, and I got into several festivals. I finished school, and then I was like, okay, I went back. I finally was able to catch a flight when the flights like started again. And I went to Savannah. I finished my degree, and then I moved to LA during the pandemic. I didn't have a job. Also, I want to say again, like I had money for 1 year and I was able to make it work, that I was able to finish like my degree and save some money. So it was great. I met these people, and then I moved to LA, and I knew a lot of people because of my film. That film definitely like helped me a lot. But there were two problems. One, it was COVID. So there was not a lot going on. And then second, I wasn't in the union, and all the people I knew were union. So I couldn't work with them. So they were like, we cannot bring you in until you're in the union. And then the others also were like, it's been so challenging. I haven't worked for like several months. So I was like, okay. I had money for like 5 months, and I started like knocking on doors, knocking on doors, knocking on doors. And like, if there's something I want you to leave today with, is that keep knocking on doors, keep talking, keep trying, keep going. So I moved to LA, and like nothing was happening. Everything was very slow. I was living off my savings. And when I moved to LA, I again had that mentality of like, if anything, I'll go back to Colombia. But then when you have studied and you're here, like you don't want to go back, right? So I was like reaching out to people, talking to everyone, but also it was very hard because it was COVID. So there was nothing going on. There were not any events. People didn't want to meet. Like I had like 3 people I knew, like friends. One of them picked me up in the airport and was like, okay, I'll see you when this happens, when this finishes. And like I saw them again like in April 2021. Was like 4 months. I barely got out. I didn't know anyone. And I was trying and nothing was happening. So finally, I got like a gig to work on a podcast, and they would pay me like 200 per episode. It wasn't much, but I was like, okay, 200 more, which buy me some days. Then I started doing this gig, which was like a voiceover editing. It was like the things that you call and it's like for help, press 1, press 2, those things. I would do that remotely, but it was in another state. So I was getting paid nothing, like very little money, way less than the minimum wage in LA, but I was doing it. And then I kept trying, and I was doing things here and there, reaching out, and I was networking with the people who I could, but LA is terrible with public transport. And I was living in Pasadena, which is like, let's say, suburbs, kind of far. And I didn't have a car because I barely have money to stay here. So I was taking like public transportation to meet people and like trying, and it would take me like 2 hours to get there. But you have to try, and like building these relationships, trying to build trust. And that's something really important about like making it and getting opportunities. Sometimes people reach out to me on LinkedIn and they're just like, can you give me a job? Do you know of anything? And I'm like, oh, well, hi, nice to meet you. Like, I don't know you, I don't know your work. So it's really important when we're trying to get a new job or make connections or like get help from someone, to build a relationship, build a connection. Like with all these women I interviewed for my film, I stay in touch. I still talk to them. Some of them are my mentors. So it's really important to keep that in mind when you're trying to build something, to get connections. Don't just be like, hey, can you help me? Like, no. Like offer to come to them, buy them coffee, help them. There's connections, there's people that I've wanted to meet, that I've chased for years, because I want to meet them, because I admire them, and then they're busy, and I've like persisted and persisted and persisted until I'm able to meet them. So this is super important. So back to the story. I was looking for things, not much was happening. I was running out of money, and I remember I went to see this woman, and I took like 2 hours on like the metro bus, other bus. I went there, then I came back, and I was so defeated and exhausted. And I remember being on the phone with a friend, like, if I don't get something soon, like I'm gonna have to leave next month. I'm like, I'm gonna run out of money. And then, bam, my opportunity came, and I started, like, I got a job offer to work at Pixelogic, which is there. It was a full-time job, and that was like, whoa, that like helped me stay here. And from there, like, things pick up. I forgot to mention before that, I also started another gig, which was with NYAB Post as a dubbing engineer. And this one was like the weirdest thing. Like, I moved, and my roommate was a voice actress, and she told me they needed someone, and I talked to them, and they hired me, and they trained me. And it was amazing, because like people would just take chances on me and give me a chance, and they would train me, and I would just put my best to make it work. So when the opportunity comes, just like give your best, try your best, do your best, and have people like trust you. So I was doing all of these like weird things here and there. The dubbing one in NYAB was like also some days yes, some days no, some hours. So when I finally got the Pixelogic one, I was like, okay, now I can stay. And then I had to drive. So I literally took like all my pennies, and like I had a credit card, and I went and I bought a car, because I had to like go back and forth. And as I said, traffic, like transportation here is terrible. And I started doing that. So I was doing NYIV in the mornings, dubbing engineer remotely. Then in Pixelogic, I had like swing shift. So I would work 4 p.m. till midnight. And then I would go home, and I was editing like that voiceover thing. So I was working and working and working, making it like happen. And I was still like meeting people, networking, and like finding opportunities. When I started at Pixelogic, I also got contact to work on Calm. Calm, I applied through LinkedIn, and it took me like 2 years to be able to work with them, but eventually I started working with them. And Pixelogic was also a friend who like helped me. She worked there, and she submitted it, and like, yeah, they liked me, and I started. But what I really wanted to do was post-production, because Pixelogic was localization, which is like after post-production, they QC the work, and they send it to the dubbing vendors, and they send it back to us, and we check and make sure everything's fine. So I was doing all of these works, all of these jobs, working nonstop. And I was on my work permit, the OPT, which was 1 year. And when I started in Pixelogic, I knew like in a year, I had to apply for this visa that my friend had told me I needed to have credits. So I was like working, doing everything so I could eventually apply to that and stay. And my dream was to be a dialogue editor and a supervisor. Like that's what I really, really like. So even though I was like doing these other works, I was still like looking for things and doing side gigs, working on student projects, on indie projects. And then eventually I was in a group of women in sound because of my film. They Listen to Us, that documentary. I joined many groups of women, and in one of them, someone posted like, "Hey, I'm moving to Seattle and we're looking for someone and we would like a woman." And so I applied and I eventually got it. We at Gypsy Sound, which you see there in the logo. So this was an amazing opportunity because this was a non-union place and they gave me the chance to dialogue edit. So they trained me and I started doing it. But because it was a non-union place, I wore many hats. So I was doing voiceover, I was doing ADR, I was doing sound effects. Like I had the chance to work on many things. And this was like my big post-production thing. Like I love Chef's Table. I don't know if you know that show, but they work on it. And like I got to work on it. So I was like, oh my God, I like get to work on this show. So at first I was working on Pixelogic and on Gypsy Sound. I was doing both, working nonstop. But then at the studio, we got super busy. So I had to quit and I just stayed with the studio. But again, I was still like doing side gigs. I started working with Cam. I was doing some video games on the side. I was doing like all these things and like working. I guess, yeah, lots of work in this industry. So then in 2022, I applied for my O1 visa and I had a lot of trouble again. Like, I don't know if I had bad luck or if it's things that happened, but again, like another setback. And like my officer who took the case was like biased. He gave us a weird note. And my lawyers were like, we recommend that you study again or you go to Colombia. And I was like, because there's a little gap where you are in between the OPT and the O1 and you can be here. But then if that passes, you cannot stay here. So I was like, I've worked so hard to be here. What do you mean I have to go? And I was like crying, like all my dreams, like I'm finally here. All my dreams are like gonna be taken away from me. But eventually we figured it out and we withdraw the case and we submitted again. And I was able to stay and I got my visa. So great, it worked. And then what was great about that work at Gypsy Sound was also I was able to get into the union. So it got me all the union hours because I was working in a lot of shows. And eventually I joined the union and I was like, great. So I started like networking again and reaching out finally to all these women I have met, like, hey, I got in the union. Can you help me? And then one of these persons brought me to her studio where they did Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy is one of my favorite show ever. And like we were just talking with like one of the head like management there and we were talking about Grey's Anatomy and he was like, great, would you like me to see if maybe we can bring you in? And he talked with the supervisor and like 2 hours later I was in. It's crazy how like these things work, you know, like someone I met 4 years ago helped me, brought me here, and I also nourished that relationship. And then they gave me the chance to work on Grey's Anatomy. In that show, at least in that season, they had different editors because the turnaround was really fast. So they gave me a shift, so like 8 to 10 minutes to edit. And I was like, wow, my dream came true. I'm working on my favorite TV show. And I did it, and they kept me for the rest of the season. So I was super happy. I was there. I was at the other studio. I was with Cam. I was doing so much work. And I was able finally to start working union work. And I was so good. I had all this union work aligned. And I was like, ready. I did it. I'm like the queen of sound. And then the strike happened. And again, like another setback. And I was like, oh my God. So I was supposed to finally make it, start working on big things, keep going, and then everything stopped. And even though my studio was non-union, we also went slow. So things got super slow there. And I passed from working 12 to 16-hour days, like nonstop, to barely working like 40 hours a week, just because there was full time in that studio, but I was barely working. And I was like looking for opportunities, talking to people, but it was like really frustrating because everyone was on the same boat. They were like, there's nothing, I'm not working, nothing. And then to make things worse, that year, like my boss started firing people because it was 8 of us and then he didn't have enough work. And at the end was him and me. And eventually, like, I lost my work too. And this was like 2024, February. It was supposed that after the strike, things would get back, and they didn't. So again, I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? And like this mentality of like, I'll go back to Colombia, that's gone, you know, after you're in a place for 5 years, 6 years, like this is my home. I mean, I can always go back, but like, do what? My life is here. So last year I struggled so much, and I was like knocking every door, talking to everyone, like reaching out, but everyone was on the same boat in LA. Like, I haven't worked in a year, I haven't worked in 2 years, people were leaving. But you know what? I kept going, I kept trying, knocking on every door, until eventually someone I had met like 2 years ago, when I was finally able to do union work, they reached out to me. Like, we have talked. I wanted to be an editor and work with them, but they had enough editors. So they were like, we don't need an editor, but we may need an engineer, an ADR mixer. Would you be down to do it? And we had been talking, and they were like, we want to bring you in, but because of the strike, we're very slow. And it was like almost 2 years until last year, finally, on summer, when honestly, I worked so little last year that at some point I was like, will I ever work again? Because I had things here and there. I did a movie, I did a couple of video games, I did a couple of projects for Com, but it was so slow, so slow. Like, I really thought like, wow, I'm never gonna work again. But I kept trying, I kept going, and eventually they reached out and they told me like, yeah, our loop group guy is leaving. Would you be down to do it? So finally in September, I started this new gig, and it was great because even though I'm mainly a dialogue editor, I've done many other things. And because I've said yes to everything and tried new things, I was able to do this gig that was engineering and mixing. So in September, I started working on this. This is like a daily hire. So I've been working on 6 shows, and it's been going great. But again, as like it seems everything in this industry like is gig after gig, and you have to keep going, keep looking for things. The season ends in May because it's network TV, and then it comes back in September. So I knew that I had to get something else. And so I was like knocking doors again, even though I had my job. I'm like, I need to get something, I need to get something. And eventually, with one of these persons I told you, there's this woman that I met in 2019. Then I saw her in 2020 at the MPSCs. And since then, I chased her for 5 years to meet her. Finally, this year, we were able to grab coffee. And yeah, I told her like I'm looking what to do. And so she helped me find opportunities. And now I'm doing the loop group mixer engineer, although we're on a break right now. I'm still doing COM, and I just started working at a commercial studio in Santa Monica, and I'm also working on a documentary. So I'm doing a lot of things. This is a little bit of like my journey and what I've been through. But what I wanna leave you with today is like, keep going, keep knocking on doors, do your own projects, never stop, believe in yourself. Like, if there's something you want to do, go chase it. Don't let anyone stop you. If people say there's no work, there's always work, there's always something. So keep going and keep trying and keep working on your skills and getting better, so when the opportunity comes, you're good and people will keep you and will trust you. So as I put here, you don't have to have it all figured out. just begin, keep going. And that's my story. Thank you so much for joining me. And before I see if we have any questions or anything you want to say, I want to ask you again, what's holding you back? You're the protagonist of your story. What's the life you want to live? What's one thing you want to do? Are you dreaming of working on the sound world? What can you do today to make that happen? Make it happen. Take the chances. Have this mentality of what's there to lose. Chase it, because you can do anything you want. So thank you. And now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to see if there are any questions. And if there are, I will answer them. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Now I can see you. Let me see your comments. I want to see. Dun, dun, dun. What are you all saying? Money holds me back. I know, Luis, like I get it. Like that's been for me too, you know, like putting all my savings, trying, getting in debt, making it happen. But like things change and like they get better. Let me see what questions are here before I check the chat. Is there anything you would have done differently if you started again knowing what you know now? Wow, what a great question. Wow. I would have prepared better for a rainy day. Like once I got into the union and I was working so much, I changed a little bit my quality of life. And then when things went wrong, I wasn't prepared financially, and it was a real struggle. So I would always save money for a rainy day and be prepared, because you never know. Oh, thank you. I forgot to put the spotlight. Okay, next question is, what are your goals moving forward? I don't know why I can't stop spotlight. And now let's put it. What are your goals moving forward? My goals moving forward. Okay, this is a great question. Thank you for asking it. I moved here thinking I wanted to be a dialogue editor and a supervisor, but life has thrown me into the mixing world so much, and I've kind of like fight it, because I thought I didn't want to do that, like mixing, and I was so scared. Don't be scared, guys. I've been so scared of mixing, and I'm always scared, and it's like, no, you can do it. These are skills. You can learn it. So because I've been thrown into mixing so much, I'm now at a studio where I'm like mix assistant, and in the other one, I'm mixing this documentary. So my goals now are to be a mixer, which is funny. A year ago, I would have never thought I would be saying this, but my goal now is to be a mixer and be more on the end, like putting everything together and being more creative. Let's see the next one. Stephanie, while you were networking and taking on random side gigs, how did you overcome imposter syndrome or other insecurities? Oh my God, Stephanie, I don't think I've ever overcome it. That's a great question. I just, because when I network, my strategy, and maybe this will help for you, I don't know, I never make it about me. I make it about the people I'm talking with. So I always ask them about their experience, what they have done, how they've gotten there. And then I ask them for advice for my life. So I don't talk much about myself, which I guess has helped me with the imposter syndrome. And then it's just like I was saying, like, I don't know if I'm ready to mix, but I got thrown into this documentary and now I'm doing it. So it's like, make it work, learn, ask for help, ask for guidance, ask mentors. If you want to reach out to me and I want to ask me and I can help you in any way, like do it. Find resources and like be a nerd. Like I learned sound design, like watching YouTube, like just go and learn and try your best. So I guess that's what I do and what I try. Let's see the next. Luis, where did you get the drive to pursue your career? Is this something someone can learn, and how so? Oof, great question. I don't know where I got the drive. I guess because I was in Colombia, and even though I was loving teaching, but it was not something I wanted to do forever, and because I knew that singing was maybe not gonna be it, I was just like, I wanted more. And that was my drive. Like, I want more. I want a bigger life. And like, I think for us, we're lucky because we do something we love, right? Like for me, sound is my passion. I can be on Pro Tools the whole day. So that's my drive. Like, I love what I do. I want to keep doing it. I want to keep growing. And then there's a lot of fear and you don't know what's going to happen. But what's the alternative? Stay where you are, not grow? Like, just go for it. Why not? And like in my personal life, I'm also trying that now. Like, go for my dreams, like risk it. At least you tried. Like, that's my mentality. So I hope that answered your question. And now let's see what else is in the chat. Let's see if you put anything else. Ben Bert is the GOAT. Absolutely. Stephanie, I see you're saying you're in live sound, but you're not happy with it. Then, you know what? Yeah, just try something else. Start somewhere. Find a student project. Find something where you can work. Like, keep trying. Like, why not? Thank you for all your nice words, everyone. You're all so sweet. Paula is fantastic. I know she's such a badass. She's the best. And like, I went to her house. Like, she invited me to her house. So we went to the desert and I saw her house, her dogs. It was so good. And yeah, the Foley Artist Facebook group is a great resource. Whatever you can, like, I don't know in your countries, but here in LA, there's like Facebook groups, Eventbrite events, like all sorts of things. And also, it doesn't have to be a contact in sound. Sometimes you meet people in other industries and they lead you to someone else. So like, keep connecting with people. You don't know where opportunities are gonna come from. So yeah, keep trying and like put yourself out there. Helen, you're saying that's a lot of work. How did you sleep? It's so funny because I would barely sleep before. Then the strike happened and I was forced to enjoy life. And now I'm back again to working like 3 gigs. But honestly, I prefer to be overworked than not work too much. So I'm happy. I'm happy to do that. Thank you for saying that I'm inspiring. Like, if I can inspire you, that's great. Like, we should all live a life we're happy to live and share. So go live your dream life. Don't let fear holding you back. What else? Oh, Helen, thank you. What else? Quien la sigue la consigue. Sí, Fernando, cierto. He says something in Spanish like, who follows it gets it. And also, guys, yeah, it's like a numbers game. If you keep trying and trying and trying, something will come. So just keep trying. What else? Let's see. Thank you all for being here with me. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. I'm almost done. So Lamar, you asked me what other shows I've done. So I work right now, like in Law and Order SBU, Organized Crime, FBI International, Chicago Med, and then I've done a lot of docuseries, films. Like, you can see my IMDb. And in video games, I've worked on Call of Duty, Street Fighter, Monster Hunter. Yeah, I've done like a lot of things here and there, like a lot of different things. And I think there's another question. No, that's it. Perfect. So yeah, how did you handle the slow times from a financial standpoint? Have you ever thought to exit the audio domain? Mike, great question. I'm not gonna lie. Last year was hard and I got in debt and I also got help, but I'm making it work because, now I have work and now I will catch up. And I did think like, should I get out of the audio domain? But, like, life keeps sending it to me. So it's like, yeah, this is meant to be. But what I do want to do is more documentaries. Like, I love doing that film and I want to do more. So I'm working on it, trying to make time for it. So I'm not exiting audio, but I'm doing film too. And yeah, kind of like balancing both and also like coaching people, help them live a better life. Like, that's something that I started now. So not exiting audio, I'm just adding stuff because I want to do many things. And then Luis, you asked me stop spotlight. You asked me which people I interviewed for my documentary. I interviewed so many. Let me remember. Paula Fairfield, Anna Velmer, Ulrika Kander, Vicky Sampson, Sherry Klein, Terry Dorman, Cece Hall, Mitch Costin, Baiwei Yang, Kim Patrick, Danielle Dupree, Catherine Harper, Kate, I forgot her last name. Oh my God, this was in 2019. Okay, it's in my credits. There's more people, but yeah, that's some of them. And like one of my biggest heroes is Mildred Yatrue. She's the first woman I found that did sound, and I talked with her and Eileen Lee, who's a supervisor and re-recording mixer too, like badass, but I couldn't get them in the project. But I did meet them eventually. Like Millie, I chased her 4 years until I was able to have a coffee with her. So yeah, just try, guys, just do it. And then Fernando, you're asking, what branch of audio did you enjoy the most? I love dialogue editing. I don't know, it's just so nice. I guess I like problem solving. So I really enjoy that. But what I enjoy the most is like the connection with people working together. So I like all of it. Sound effects is the most like challenging for me because I haven't done it as much, but yeah. And now that I'm doing loop group, I love loop group because for the ones who don't know, it's voice actors. I have 6 voice actors plus the loop group supervisor and me. So I like record and mix them, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. It's really great. So I think that's my favorite because there's more human connection there. So I'm really enjoying that. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining my talk. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for your questions, and go chase the life of your dreams and keep going. Things always get better. And yeah, you saw like you can reach out to me. Feel free to reach out, connect. I would love to stay in touch. And Luis, thank you so much for like letting me talk, and happy Air Wiggles. I hope all the rest of the talks and panels go great. It was nice meeting you all. Thank you, Luis. Oh, you're so sweet, Helen. Thank you all so much. And yeah, please connect and let's stay in touch. And yeah, I can give you like a couple of minutes in the chat if you want to like mingle or connect with you. I'll put my email there. On my Instagram. My Instagram is now different because I'm like on this coaching, but yeah, feel free to connect. Would love to stay in touch with all of you. And okay, have a great rest of your Sunday and have a great week, everyone.